We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
We will fight hate with compassion.
We will fight hate with compassion, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We will fight hate with compassion, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
Let the kids out of the cages.
Let all the kids out of the cages, and we're singing, singing
Their lives.
our lives. Let the kids out of the cages, and we are singing, singing for their lives.
Get the families back together.
Get the families back together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. Get the families back together, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
Free the immigrants from detention.
Free the migrants from detention, and we are singing, singing for our lives. Free the migrants from detention, and we are singing, singing for their lives.
We are a peaceful, loving people.
We are a peaceful, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a peaceful, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
Great. Now, where is... There she is.
Can people hear me okay? A little louder or just right? A little louder? Okay. Thank you for being here tonight at Brattleboro's Lights for Liberty Vigil. We're gathering in solidarity with people all over the country and around the world tonight to stand up for the children who have no voice, the children who are being imprisoned within our borders in detention centers that resemble concentration camps. We also gather to stand up against the inhumane treatment and the conditions faced by people who have crossed our borders seeking a better life for themselves and their families. So thank you for being here. As of yesterday, there are vigils being held in 700 towns and cities around the country. At least 40 international sites and key places where immigrants and asylum seekers are held. At the Homestead Complex for Children in Florida, at the border crossing in Tijuana, and at ICE facilities around the country. Standing vigil is important, but so is action. We've created an action board over there. So please use it to sign up for actions. Share activities you're already involved in, or propose something new. There's space for you to put down something that you are doing or want to be doing. And include your name and contact information, and other people will too. And then at the end of the evening, I'll cut it up and you'll get a slip to take home with automatic connections. We also have flyers with information about other volunteer work and opportunities and information resources. From how to volunteer at the border to critical things you can do closer to home. We're going to hear about a few of these from Miranda and Anne, and then Susie Webster Tolino is going to lead us into our candlelight vigil. We will maintain a silent vigil for around 10 minutes, longer if we can do it. And then George Carville and the Song and Solidarity Singers will lead us in some singing. Despite our anger and frustration, the intent tonight is for a peaceful vigil of solidarity with each other and our friends and neighbors that need us to stand up and speak out for justice and kindness. So again, thank you for being here tonight. Miranda. Miranda's going to speak about, on behalf of Migrant Justice, who couldn't be here tonight but wanted to speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This is a statement from Migrant Justice. Dear all, thank you for being here today. It's great to know all of you are gathering today for the Lights for Liberty Vigil. Although our team cannot have a physical presence, we join you in spirit and would like to share this statement from Migrant Justice. Migrant Justice is a farm worker-led grassroots organization building the voice, capacity, and power of immigrant farm workers in Vermont and engaging community partners to organize for economic justice and human rights. We see a real rise and mass outrage over immigration at the moment, but it's important to recognize that mass deportation, detention, and family separation are not new and are also not issues confined to the southern border. As outrage grows over the detention of children, deaths at the border, and the threat of massive raids, ICE and Border Patrol continue their unceasing attacks against migrant communities around the country. We want you all to know that Migrant Justice has been working on for many years to keep local police out of the business of deportations by ending their collaboration with federal immigration agents. The policy Migrant Justice has created is called Fair and Impartial Policing, and towns around the state have been mounting No Palimigro campaigns to strengthen local policies. Winooski currently has the strongest policy in the state, creating a firewall between local police and federal deportation agents. Migrant Justice has been working with groups in different towns to bring a stronger policy. If you can, please sign up and get involved. These are times to stand up and recognize that we are all in this together. Thank you for giving us the space to connect. In solidarity, Migrant Justice.
Yeah.
I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Julie Dolan. There's some flyers. They're the green, bright green flyers are from Migrant Justice. It's their speech. And then there's also on the action board, there is a place to sign up if you want to connect with the Polymigra movement in Windham County. It hasn't quite formed yet, but if you put your name down and some contact information, they'll get in touch with you. Ann Zimmerman's going to talk now about a solidarity march that's happening next month.
Hi, I'm Ann. I wrote down what I need to say because I'm not going to be able to speak in front of a crowd this size without having my remarks in front of me, so bear with me. But before we hear from Reverend Susie Webster Tolino, a member of our local ecumenical community, and go into the quieter part of our vigil, the main purpose of which is to protest the concentration camps and detention centers within our border and the horrible conditions in which people, including children, are held, which Julie spoke to. I want to give a plug for an experience that I had last summer, which will be happening again, and maybe some of you will want to take part as another way to continue your involvement. So somewhat spontaneously, because it happened to fall on my vacation week, I went on an Immigrant Justice Solidarity Walk, which was a 4-day walk that began at the ICE headquarters in Manchester, New Hampshire, and culminated at their prison facility in Dover. And in case you aren't aware, the ICE prison in Dover is where they incarcerate people who are nabbed in New England and are also sometimes sent from other places like the border. So that walk will happen again this year from August 21st to the 24th, this time departing from Concord, New Hampshire, and again culminating in a large event in Dover. And several people from here are already planning to be on the walk, and if you are interested, registration information for that can be found at the New Hampshire Council of Churches website. They're the principal organizer of the walk in conjunction with Granite State Organizing Project and the New Hampshire chapter of American Friends Service Committee. But we also have that on Julie's board over there, so if you want to put your name down there, I'll make sure you get the information, and we also will send emails out about all this stuff. So people can join for part of a day, a few days, or the whole thing, or you can go just for the last day, which is a Saturday, so maybe easier for a lot of people, and join walkers for the end of the event in Dover. And we will attempt to organize a carpool for that day, so stay tuned about that. It is expected this year to be an even larger event. There's going to be a biking contingent from the Upper Valley in Vermont. There's going to be walkers from Maine and Massachusetts. So this will really be a whole region-wide show of support for people in our area who are caught up in this mess. We are fed lunch every day. There's a community potluck and programming each evening, and a community is created along the way. So basically, after a summer last year of trying to figure out how best to protest the situation at our borders and helping with, Brattleboro area Not in Our Name to organize a number of protests, it was just so very uplifting and enlightening to be with people in this way who are driven by conscience to do the work of solidarity. And some of them have been doing it for a very long time, so you will find a lot of mentors. And just a little bit about a couple of the people I met on that walk. I met Marco, a 12-year-old boy whose father had been picked up after being profiled when he had car trouble on his job and asked to use a phone. And Marco was experiencing way too much stress for a boy his age, attempting to be a support for his mother and younger sister. And he was very empowered by joining this walk and sharing his story with people who cared. I met Mercy and her 10-year-old daughter Ashley, who had fled El Salvador after a gang had repeatedly targeted their family for extortion. So after they couldn't come up with any more money, Ashley had a gun held to her head. I'm sorry, there's children here, that's hard to say. Finally, a gang member showed Ashley's dad a picture of his daughter in her school classroom, and after that, he never went back home. He and Mercy got their daughter from school and they left. So this is a familiar story by now. After their grueling desert crossing, they were welcomed, in air quotes, into our country at gunpoint by Border Patrol and were in fear for their lives once again. They went on to live with a lot of anxiety and were also very empowered to share their story on this walk. So that's the kind of person you could meet if you join in. Nancy, who runs the Visitation Project for people detained in Dover as part of her UCC Church's social justice outreach. She raises money for bail and serves as an absolutely vital connection to the outside world. And lastly, I would just say that being on a multi-day walk is a unique way to bear witness. While the phone calls that we make and the emails that we write, they're super important and we need to be doing those things, and please don't stop doing those things. This allows us to step out of our habitual lives in the spirit of pilgrimage and opens the possibility of another kind of connection to ponder the concept of solidarity more deeply and the ongoing work of our shared responsibility to care for one another, especially people who are coming here seeking safety and a better life. And that was a lot of words, but just I want to give a blurb also to an event that's happening in mid-September that you could put on your calendar as well, and you'll hear more about it. We're going to have another showing of the film called Undeterred, which we saw here earlier in the spring at the Latches. We're going to use it as a fundraiser, probably also involve a silent auction, and that will raise money for legal aid. And basically, to say another word about legal aid, you probably have heard that there is very likely going to be raids this weekend, and if you are a person in a position to give money to organizations who are on the front line, this would be a very excellent time to do that. So you will hear more about both of these things if you're on our email list, and there is a clipboard over on this table. If you are not on our email list, make sure we get your contact information. And now I want to pass the mic back to Julie.
I just wanted two announcements before I introduce Miranda to speak again. The No More Detention poster, the beautiful poster, and it's on the back of one of the information sheets, was graciously released by the artist, Phoebe Wall, and it's free to use for protest. Please don't, it is copyrighted, so please don't attempt to sell it. The other thing is that there's a yellow flyer there that lists a lot of local actions that you can take, but people have also been asking how to go to the border, and there's some information about going to the border to protest and volunteer. And there are some very good Facebook pages that will keep you informed if you feel like you need more information, and that's listed on that yellow sheet as well. We have a local organization that's been Steve Proctor went down to the McAllen several years ago to volunteer before everything exploded last year. And Steve Crofter. Steve Crofter. I'm sorry. And so Miranda's going to talk about CASP.
Yeah, just very briefly, Community Asylum Seekers Project is based here in Vermont. One of my neighbors from Guilford, former neighbor Steve Crofter, started this organization to be able to support asylum seekers in our own state. If you have a cabin, a house that has room for people, that's one thing that you can offer. You can support them with food, with other daily needs as they resettle in our community. You can assist them in navigating the asylum claim process. You can help them achieve eventual independence as they proceed through the asylum process. You can contribute money. You can locate host homes. You can assist with the events that the Community Asylum Seekers Project is putting on. Serve on a committee. We have their contact information, and you know, we hear so much about how Vermont is an aging state and how much we need younger people here, in addition to what we can offer to the people who have come here. We need them. And so this is the Community Asylum Seekers Project is a way to help ourselves while we're helping the people who are coming and needing us.
Okay, I'd like to invite Susie to come up and lead us into our silent vigil. Thank you.
It's lovely to see so many of you here. If you can't hear, do come forward. You don't need to hear the silence, but it's also nice to be near one another, and to leave a little gap so latecomers can come in would be great. I'd like to say first, before I say anything else, that a year ago today at 8:30 p.m. was the moment my father died, and he would have been here. And so I do this also in honor of him, because he had a heart for justice and for compassion. So here's to Dad. I wanted to say that when Connie Baxter reached out to me to ask if I might participate tonight, I said yes immediately. But I also paused internally. I paused to ask myself, what good will it do? This was not a despairing question, not really, but a simple one, an honest one. Not, it won't do any good, but rather, what in particular is the good goal of such a gathering? And I thought about hope. I am a person of hope. I suspect lots of you are too, or you might not be here. It's a sign of privilege, I suppose. It's also an inborn thing. To be clear, I am not an optimist, but I am hopeful.
Or more accurately, I am hope-filled. And that's why I'm here. There's a difference between wishing and hoping, right? Wishing, if you wish when you're 7 to be a ballerina, it's just a random wish. If you hope to be a ballerina, you better take some classes, right? And same goes for any other life goal. There's a difference between a wish and a hope. And I am here because I have hope. Hope that is active, not passive. Hope that is connected to a vision of a world where love is stronger than hate. Our hope, or at least my hope, is anchored in our connection to one another, with our neighbors, with strangers. On my own, I am extremely limited. But with you, with people who are gathered all over our broken land and around the world, I am not alone. You are not alone. We are not alone. One of the concepts of many faith traditions is that of Sabbath. It's called different things in different traditions. Of time set aside from doing. Different traditions frame it in different ways, but the truth is that when we frantically do, we lose steam. We fall into despair, or at least perhaps I do. With a Sabbath-like pause, especially when done in community, I am nourished by the power of a love that is greater than anything I can muster on my own. And so, in the midst of the fury and despair that I feel when I think of what's being done in our names to people whose crime is that they left the home that is the mouth of a shark for them, seeking safety and opportunity for themselves and their children. In the midst of that paralyzing rage, we pause. In the silence, we will hear one another breathing. In many languages, you may know, the word for breath is the same as the word for spirit. And as our breath is connected, so will our spirits be connected. And we will know that together we are so much more powerful than we could ever be alone. So I invite you at this time to keep silence with me and to feel yourself nourished by the breath of your neighbors, by love, and by spirit. Let us be together in silence.
freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. And I'll fight for my right to be free.
No more separation.
No more separation. No more separation. No more separation in my name. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. And I'll fight for my right to be free.
No more kids in cages.
No more kids in cages. No more kids in cages. No more kids in cages.
In my name.
In my name. In my name. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. And I'll fight for my right to be free.
No more deportations.
No more deportations. No more deportations. No more deportations in my name. In my name. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. And I'll fight for my right to be free. To be free.
There'll be justice.
There'll be justice. There'll be justice. There'll be justice for me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. And I'll fight for my right to be free. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
For the migrants coming in.
For the migrants coming in, I'm gonna let it shine. For the migrants coming in, I'm gonna let it shine. For the migrants coming in, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
For the children in our care.
For the children in our care, I'm gonna let it shine. For the children in our care, I'm gonna let it shine. For the children in our care, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
For the poor and hungry.
For the poor and hungry, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Suggestion.
We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved.
We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved.
We'll speak truth to power.
We'll speak truth to power. We shall not be moved. We'll speak truth to power. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved.
We're fighting for the children.
We're fighting for the children. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for the children. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved.
Close the concentration camps.
Close the concentration camps. We shall not be moved. Close the concentration camps. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved.
No more deportation.
No more deportations. We shall not be moved. No more deportations. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved.
Walls cannot be bridges.
Walls cannot be bridges. We shall not be moved. Walls cannot be bridges. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved.
We support the migrants.
We support the migrants. We shall not be moved. We support the migrants. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved.
We shall not.
We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be
Ever try that one? We'll sing a few more. If you have to leave, don't forget to visit the action board. Hope my voice is loud enough. Okay.
Your voice is always loud enough.
I know. That's what my wife keeps telling me. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around?
Yeah.
All right.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down the freedom
Ain't
trail.
gonna let racism.
Ain't gonna let racism turn keep on talking, walking down to freedom land.
No ice agents.
Turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. I'm gonna let ice agents turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down to freedom land.
Let no borders.
Ain't gonna let no borders turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no borders turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down to freedom land. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down to freedom land. As I was walking that river highway, you all know this. Me, that endless highway, I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. The sun was shining and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving and the dust clouds rolling. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. By the reaping forest, I see my people. They stood there hungry, I stood there hungry. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. Some say they're red states, some say they're blue states. I don't think that just the United States. They have the I think they tell you this land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. One more time. This land was made for you and me. And the last time. This land was made for you and me. It was.
Yeah, I'm sorry. here's my friend Ben from the People's Music Network came up with this one. I think you can try to follow it. I know you will all know the tune. So let's see what we can do. All right? It says children must be free.
Starts with children must be free.
Children must be free. Children must be free. Children must be free today.
Deep in our hearts.
Oh, deep in our hearts.
We know it's true.
We know it's true. Children must be free today.
Close the detention camps.
Close the detention camps. Close the detention camps. Close the detention camps today. Oh, deep in our hearts.
We know it's true.
We know it's true. Close the detention camps today.
Welcome, refugees.
Welcome, refugees. Welcome, refugees. Welcome, refugees today. Oh, deep in our hearts, we know it's true. Welcome, refugees today.
Can't hear you. One more. All right. Any requests? Down by the riverside?
Yeah, down by the
I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Gonna study war no more. I ain't 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 gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more.
Gonna stand up for the refugees. I'm
gonna stand up for the refugees.
Down by the Rio Grande.
Down by the Rio Grande. Down by the Rio Grande. Down by the Rio Grande. Gonna stand up for the refugees. Down by the Rio Grande.
Ain't gonna stand aside no more.
Aside no more. I ain't gonna stand 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 aside no more. Ain't gonna stand aside no more.
Free the children from detention camps.
Gonna free the children from detention camps. Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Gonna free the children from detention camps. Down by the riverside. Aside no more. I ain't gonna stand aside no more.
gonna stand aside no more. Ain't gonna stand aside no more.
There ain't no emergency.
There ain't no emergency. Down by the Rio Grande. Down by the Rio Grande. Down by the Rio Grande. There ain't no emergency. Down by the Rio Grande.
Ain't gonna study Trump no more.
Trump no more. I ain't gonna study 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 Trump no more.
Find hope for all the world. Gonna find
For all the world. Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Gonna find hope for all the world. Down by the riverside.
study war no more.
I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more.
I think there were some housekeeping announcements.
Well, there may be wax all over you.
Hello?
I've been spraying it all over the week.
Drop some.
Were you going to add something? Or shall I just...
Know that they were one of thousands and thousands of people that have been doing this around the country and around the world. And thank you, and get informed and do what you can, and reach out to other people. If you have an idea of something you want to do, write it down. You'll find other people that might want to do it with you. And thank you for coming tonight.
So I'd like to close with these words from an essay, Seeking Mercy, Seeking Home by Reverend Erica Hewitt. Some of you undoubtedly and admirably are wondering what you can do to help bring relief to the crisis. I hope you're hearing that doing something starts small. You are doing something when you allow your heart to tear over the scope of human suffering. You are doing something when you step beyond your experience to acknowledge that we cannot know, and God willing will never know, what it's like to make harrowing decisions. You're doing something when you interrupt a conversation to say, no human being is illegal. It's not kind or civil to talk about people that way. And you're doing something when you use the language of reverence and interdependence to describe the global community. In the words of Reverend Eric Cherry, let us hold the refugee, the immigrant, the asylum seeker in prayer. May God be with you. May your grief and loss be assuaged. May the hard road you travel include spaces of rest and security. May you know your inherent worth and dignity every day of the journey. And let us pray for the people who are met along the way. May they remember how they were strangers too. May they embrace the pathways of compassion. May they recall the teachings of the prophets. May they make room in their hearts and in their homes. Thank you all.
As I went walking that river highway, you all know this. That endless highway, I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land.
From California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. The sun was shining and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving and the dust clouds rolling, and the sun was living, all the woods enchanting. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. It's better on people on summer days, by the reading forest, I see my people. I stood there hungry, I stood there asking, is this land was made for you and me?
Que liberen a los niños, a la niña, por toda la vida.
You are now tuned in to the motherfucking rebel. What you thought we won't respond to these devils? What you thought we wouldn't fight for the babies? They've been taking babies in slavery. White supremacy come from the power of the gun. I saw them boys in the cage, so I'm hugging my son. I feel the pain in the whimpers, the crying and the noises. That girl want her mama and she's scared of foreign voices. They came running from an economic crisis to the USA funds cause they terrorists like ISIS. They want the money, they steal the resources. Honduras, Guatemala, all covered in corpses. Corpses of the poor, they get repressed by the regimes. They work with the cartel selling coke in Medellin. La CIA, the banks, their hands are full of blood of the migrants that are running from the south to your hood. Fuck ICE, we don't believe in law and order. The border crossed us, man, we ain't crossed the border. Fuck the president, he got the wrong morals. Fuck a wall, we gon' travel through a portal. Fuck ICE, we don't believe in law and order. The border crossed us, man, we ain't crossed the border. Fuck the president, he got the wrong morals. Fuck a wall, we gon' travel through a portal.
Over, under, via boat, foot, a tunnel. Funnel funds back to the fans, still in trouble cause of war, hunger, unlivable conditions. Brought down by consistent US interventions. Guerra Fria, CIA, coup d'etats. Hundreds, thousands, human lives was lost in the name of progress. Children caught up in the conflict. Powerful versus the powerless, resisting conquest. Desde 1492 han robado, matado, silenciado la voz de la más vulnerable generación, la que lleva la historia de rebelión. They don't want them seeds to grow, live and thrive, trying to cut us from our roots like it's pure to be wide. Lies and false news keep us blind to the truth. It's ethnic cleansing, genocide on immigrant youth. And yo,
fuck ICE, we don't believe in law and order. The border crossed us, man, we ain't crossed the border. Fuck the president, he got the wrong morals. Fuck a wall, we gon' travel through a portal. Fuck ICE, we don't believe in law and order. The border crossed us, man, we ain't crossed the border. Fuck the president, he got the wrong morals. Fuck a wall, we gon' travel through a portal.